Hey, welcome to Grow New Plants. So today I'm going to start another try at Asian Jasmine. I've done this before and I ended up having that was the year I had the really bad winter and ended up losing a bunch of them. So I'm going to try it again, but this time I'm going to go and do them from start to finish. So I'm going to start these things in water. So basically what I'm going to do is just what I did there. Is I'll take a couple sets of leaves off the bottom and then I'll go just above the next one. So maybe 3 nodes. A node there, a node there, a node there. So we got a node, and at least 1 leaf above that, and I'll just make a fresh cut on that one. So there's 3. So I'm just going to make a pile of these things. This one right here will be perfect the way it is. Actually, that's not enough nodes on that one. So I want to go just below a node. And take that set off. And then leave the other set on. So I'm going to go through and I'm going to get quite a few of these done. And then I will come back. So what I want to try and do is get these things where the tips are about the same. So I want to stack them all in. And of course, when you're doing these, you got to be careful and make sure that you're cutting the right end of that you're not putting them in upside down. It's pretty easy to tell by looking at them, but if you're unsure, just look at the cut in and work towards the end. Because if you put them in upside down, they're never going to root. You got to get that bottom node in there. I don't know, I probably got about 30 or 40 of these. So once they root, I'll take them and plant them up into some of my Rootmaker cells, and then I will grow them out and start trimming them up to get them to spread and all that. So hopefully I'm gonna hang on to this video, and then I'm gonna do the whole thing all the way through to hopefully coming out with some actual decent looking, at least 4-inch size plants. So then I just get all those pretty well lined up on the end, and just take a rubber band, and then not super tight where it's going to cut them off or anything, but just enough to hold them together. And then I got a jar of water here, and that's it. Okay, so my Asian Jasmine has been in water for right about a month now. This piece here I'll talk about in a minute. That's a special piece. So I'm going to take these. I got a few issues here. I want to cut my rubber band. I don't want to pull it off. I don't want to damage any of the roots that are on there. I can take it off the top. That thing doesn't cut very good on the rubber band. So what I want to do here is I'm going to separate these out for all the ones that have rooted and the ones that haven't rooted. Okay, I got them all separated, and it looks like I have about 12 of them that have rooted. And there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. About 11 that have not rooted yet. So what I want to do is, so right now these things are just putting out these long roots, and they're just going to keep getting longer and longer. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in here and just prune all those roots a little bit. And what that'll happen, see how these little roots here are coming out? That's what I want. So if I prune the tips off of all these, hopefully these little roots here will start branching out. It'll make the transplant a little bit easier on them. That one hadn't rooted yet. That one's got a baby root on it. So I'm going to go through and do that real quick. Okay, I saved this one. I just want to show you that thing's crazy there. I wish they'd all done like that. This thing's going to do wonderful. So anyway, so that's all of them pruned back, and I wanted you to show on here. So like this one right here has put out a little bit of new growth. That one's got no new growth yet. I think that's probably growth that was already on there. So most of these are not putting out any new growth yet. which I don't really truly expect them to because they just got little tiny roots. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take these and I'm going to put them back into the jar, but I'm not going to tie them down this time. I'm just going to let them sit there in the water, and they'll be fine. As long as they're not completely buried in the water, they'll be fine. So I want to just give them a chance to grow these roots out a little bit longer, and then I'm going to take the other ones and I'm going to put them in a second jar, the ones that haven't rooted yet, so that way I'll have them separated. I know all these got roots and the other ones don't. Now it's got little baby roots coming out already, but it should be fine. So I'm going to leave these for a little bit longer and give them a chance to branch out. I've never done that before. I've planted them at this point before. Some make it, some don't. So I wanted to prune those roots just to see if they branch, kind of an experiment. So we'll see what happens with it. And then I will take these and I'll put them back in the water. And I wanted to talk about this one right here. I found this one in a jasmine bed. If you look at it, it's got a leaf that's variegated. Just one leaf. So what I'm going to try and do is and this one hasn't been in the water as long. I just found it probably 2 weeks. These have been in for a month. I found this one probably 2 weeks ago. And so I'm putting it in there too. If I can get this thing to root out, and then if I can get this thing to put out any more growth off of this node right here that has this variegated leaf, if it reproduces any more variegated leaves, my goal is to eventually, if the variegated leaf section grows out, I'm going to take a separate cutting off that and start up another one from it. And then if it keeps reproducing variegated, I may come up with my own variegated variety. I don't know if that's going to work or not. Just an experiment, so I'm going to play with it and see what happens. So anyway, I'm going to let these sit for a couple more weeks. I'll give these a chance to go ahead and develop roots. They'll probably start developing roots at any time now. So we'll come back when these things spread out, and then we'll get them planted in some dirt. Okay, so welcome back. So I've let these things grow out some more, and I have really big roots on them now. So I've just let them soak in some water. Just after I pulled them out of the jar. I pulled them out just kind of look at them before I started doing the video. So let's see if we can get a couple examples. So the last part of the video, I took these things and I pruned these roots up. See if I can find some examples. Here's a real good example right here. So hopefully that will show. You see right here, they got the long roots, and now they got a bunch of little small roots coming out up and down the stem. They didn't all do that. Some of them did. Some of them were, this one's trying to. It's got some small roots coming out. Here's one here this thing has put out a ton of new growth already. But it's got tons of roots. So I'm going to take these things and I'm going to pot them up into these Rootmaker 24 count trays. So there's 4 of these, there's 6 of these will go in one of these trays right here, so it'll be 24 total. So I'm going to use my regular starter soil, and I just did a video on this. This is using the new Rootmaker 6 fertilizer, slow release fertilizer with micronutrients in it. I should have already posted a video by now showing that. So we're going to take this thing right here, and I'm just going to basically hold it down, get the roots down inside that, and then just pack some soil in around it. And that's all there is to that. I'll go ahead and do one of these little things, then I'll fast forward through all the rest of them. Look at the roots on that thing. Those things are huge. It's got a new shoot right there trying to come up where it's split too. I'll get that above the soil, and that one's already splitting out. Hard to get all those roots in some of these. There's so many roots, hard to get them all down in there. So I ended up with 20 of them. I got 4 times 5, so I got 20 of them. I thought I had more than that, but some of them didn't root. And if you see right here, some of these are really, this new growth is really lime colored. It'll change colors once it gets out into the sunlight. Some of these had bigger roots, some of them had smaller roots. Probably this tray here had the smallest roots out of all of them that I planted out of the whole bunch, but I still think they're going to do fine. So I'm going to take these and I'm going to water them in good, and then I'm going to go ahead and put these on my grow table in the sun, but I'm going to watch them real close. And if I think they will take the sun okay. If they look like they're getting wilty, I might bring them back into the shade for a little while and then move them back into the sun, but I think they'll be okay going directly into the sun. So we'll do a follow-up, one last follow-up at the end of this. Okay, so we're here for the final part of the video. So these things are definitely well rooted. I don't know whether, yeah, you got a few little roots that are coming out. There's some roots right there in the bottom you can see, but the only thing is with these is when I pull on them, you can tell they're all well rooted, but they're not pulling out the whole mass of the soil at the same time. So I'm not going to take them out of the pots yet. I'm going to overwinter these in these pots. But what I am going to do is I'm going to prune them back, because like these are the ones here that had the smallest amount of roots, and they did root just fine, but they don't have a lot of new growth. I think all of them have put out some new growth, but not a lot. These here put out quite a bit of new growth, and they're splitting up. Like that one's got 2 good ones going out, that one's got 2, but I want them to branch out. I want them to, like, when you plant them out, I really would like to have 4 or 5 different branches going on every one of these. So what I'm going to do, and this is one of these things that I've kind of been preaching a little bit, that, you know, you can take cuttings and grow them, but if they don't have good structure afterwards, they're not going to really make a good tree. So you have to start early pruning them and trying to turn them into something that's going to have a nice shape to it. So what I'm going to end up doing on these is I'm going to come in here and I'm going to prune them all back. And I'm just going to, like these smaller ones right here, I'm just going to take that tip off, and I'll go ahead and take the tip off that one. I'll take the tip off this one. And what I'm hoping for is to get these things to branch out, and then they'll make a lot nicer. I don't remember if I cut that one or not. So those 4 there are done. I'm going to set them aside so I don't do them twice. Now what I'm going to do too on these, the second thing is I have my misting bed set up, and I've got a video link for the misting bed up here if you want to watch that. I got some of these that are really long that I can take additional cuttings off of. So what I'm going to do with this one, I'm going to go right here above that node, and I'm going to put these into these other pots and make cuttings out of them. Could probably get one little cutting off that. That one, I might can get a cutting off that. I can try it. I know I can get a cutting off of this one. So I'm just going to go through here and prune all these things back, and then I'm going to take cuttings. Now, it's late in the year. It is, get one right there. It's already the middle of September. So if I get these things to root, they're probably not going to have a whole lot of time to do anything, but I'm going to try it anyway. So I'm just going to go through here, and I'll finish cutting all these off, and then I got one more thing I want to show you about that variegated one. Okay, so I've got them all cut back now. So I'm going to show you this one right here. So this is the one that I found that had this one variegated leaf. So the opposing leaves, one was variegated, one was not. So I let it grow out. Well, lo and behold, the second set of leaves did the same thing. One variegated, one not variegated. And the next set of leaves came out and it has nothing. They're still light colored. So I don't know, one of them could end up showing variegation later on, but I don't know. So what I'm going to do with that one is I'm going to take these 2 off. So I got 2 sets of these, so I'm hoping maybe when that branches, that variegation will continue on that. So I thought that was pretty cool. So there's a better shot of these. It came up with 2 variegated leaves, so that's my my goal with that one is to maybe if I can get this thing to keep reproducing, which sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. You just never know. That one's already branching out right there. I'm going to leave that one. So anyway, so I got all these things pruned back now. And so what my hope is that these things will branch out. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to overwinter them in the greenhouse. And hopefully when they put out new growth, they may put out some this fall. I don't know, it may be spring before they do. But hopefully they'll start branching out and get fuller. And I'll let the roots overgrow in the winter. And then I'm probably going to find a bed for these. Because that's my whole issue with jasmine is I do not have a jasmine bed here at my house. So I'm having to take my cuttings and bring them home and they dry out. And so far I have found that the sooner, any cuttings that I take here at the house, like Vitex are the prime example. I take Vitex, I've got a set of trees that I get a lot of cuttings from and they're about 30, 45 minutes from my house. So by the time I take cuttings, get home, get set up and everything, they've been cut for maybe 2 hours already. And when I take cuttings off of my plants that I've already propagated, where they're basically the cuttings are taken and they're stuck immediately, I have way better success. So I think there's something to be said for that. So what I'm going to do here, I'm only going to put 6 of these pots in. So I'm going to try two things different. One, fresh cuttings taken immediately and stuck. Well, 3 things, I guess. Taking them late in the fall. And then the last thing I'm going to do different with these is I'm going to put several cuttings into one tray and see if I can get a fuller, because the thing is when you get cuttings off if you find a good jasmine bed, you can get tons of cuttings. It's not like you have a shortage of cuttings. So I'm going to try 3 or 4 sticks in each pot too and see how that works. So I'll just do one of these and we got one there. I want 2 buds below and 1 node, or 2 buds above, 1 node below. So we'll go there. That one's going to be buried, pulling that one off. So that'll be one. That will be, we'll go below that node. We'll make this one a little bit bigger because it just is bigger. Pull all these leaves off. And just 1 set of leaves is all you need on the top. So there's 2 for that tray. And we'll go here. That's my tip. We'll go here and here. Pull these leaves off at the bottom. So there's my 3 cuttings. So I'm just going to take these and just kind of spread them out evenly down in there. And I'm going to stick them pretty deep this time, where I'll probably get 2 nodes down below the ground. So anyway, so I'm going to go ahead and I'll do that off camera. I just wanted to kind of show you. I'm going to take the rest of these and I'm going to put these in the misting bed here in, like I said, mid-September. So we'll see what happens with it. But anyway, so the jasmine is pretty easy to do. I did these in water. I've done it before. I know it works and you can see the results. The results are really good with it. But it's been a long time. The roots have not filled these pots out completely where I feel comfortable pulling them out. I could pull them out and put them into bigger containers, but I don't really know what good it's going to do. And I also am going to give these a little bit more fertilizer. I'm going to put maybe 1/8 of a teaspoon of my Osmocote fertilizer in each one of these cells too, just to give them a little more fertilizer. And then I'll pot these up, the rest of these cuttings up. So maybe next spring I'll show you whether these things did any good and what these things look like after being overwintered. The thing you got to remember though, if you're going to overwinter something like this, you got to protect them, because that amount of soil will freeze up hard and it'll end up killing the roots in them. So you got to protect them, either mulch around them or put them in the greenhouse or keep them in the garage or something like that. Anyway, I appreciate you watching. Please like, please share, and please subscribe. Thank you.